is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
Yeah, so today we are watching episode 3 of season 2. We've both rewatched it ahead of time, so we both do technically remember what happens. This definitely holds a special spot in my heart because the first time I ever joined Watch Spoilers, it was for this chapter of the books. And by this chapter, I mean Nynaeve's test. That was my first ever appearance on the show. So this episode being centered around her test definitely gave it an extra special spot in my heart.
And I thought it was an excellent adaptation of Nynaeve's test. Almost pure to the books, but not in a lot of ways. Very pure to the heart of the books, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely felt like I was getting the book experience visually. I have like a couple of minor quibbles, but maybe those were actually clues about nefarious Dark Aja things. We'll see. But yeah, I really enjoyed that they gave a whole episode to impress upon us the weight of this test. It felt very, in the spirit of the books to do that.
So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Let's begin the test. The way back will come but once. What do you think about the arches being broken? And the way that, the weaves kind of fill in the holes.
Weird. Yeah, it's strange. Makes me wonder if they work right.
No mention of ter'angreal that can work in the presence of anyone. Only people who can channel. Mm-hmm. So, Matt's ter'angreal might be a little bit of a problem. Yeah. Or they're just going to, create a new kind of ter'angreal.
Mm-hmm. If you wish to boil it down that far. Yes. Lines straight out of the books.
Yes. And this whole speech.
A lot of book dialogue in this.
Yeah, a lot of book dialogue. Really do appreciate it. Love the three of them.
Yes.
They've really made these very strong characters. I don't mix these Aes Sedai up with any of the other Aes Sedai.
Right.
Anything like that. What do you think about that statement from Leandrin? Do this for you or not at all?
A little awkward coming from someone who's been strong-arming her into it this whole time.
But Nynaeve just stumbled upon her man in the North Harbor, right? And so now Leandrin doesn't want her to go through it all because she's like, I don't want to give her this chance because she's discovered my secret and abused my trust.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what she meant. I thought it was just straight ahead advice, but it seems weird from someone who's been pushing her to accept this for weeks. Shouldn't she be making the choice to be ready for this rather than being bullied into it? Yeah, I don't know. I also noticed that they took Shiriam's line about not being able to do it the first time and gave it to Lyanna. I thought that was interesting.
Interesting change, yeah. Yeah, it's tough to know exactly what they're trying to do with some of those characters, right? When they switch lines around like that. It's like, are they trying to build up a backstory?
Yeah, I assume it's just to flesh them out more.
Yeah, and Lyanna hasn't had a lot of lines. The lines she's had have been fire, but she's not had a lot of lines.
Yeah, so I assumed that they were giving her this line to make her more fleshed out, because Shiriam has a lot of space to breathe in the season overall. Lyanna needs every bit they can give her.
They do make her strip out of the dress. I feel like that is a nod to the whole, doing it naked in the books. But she keeps her shift on.
Which I appreciated. She's being stripped of her station and her protection, but not in a weirdly, it's just not weird.
She's vulnerable enough, right? She doesn't need to be stripped down to nothing.
Yeah, stripped down below being, anybody. But, yeah.
All right, so I feel like that line was super important. Not even the one power will be available to you inside the arches.
Right.
Because we know, in the third, can talk about it, but when we get there, in the third vision, she uses the one power. And is that what makes the arch appear, or, questions. I have questions, but I'll talk about them when we get there. I kind of like this visual where it looks like the one power is sort of charging up the ter'angreal. And then once it's charged up, it kind of grows and lives on its own. Mm-hmm. Yeah, first arch, she walks through. And they don't say the words, one from the past, one from the present, one from the future. There's one for what was, one for what is, and one for what will be. Right? I believe that's what they say.
Yeah, they say that in the books and they don't say it here, but they clearly are following the same pattern. because it is the past, the present, and the future.
Right. And there's 1, 2, 3 in order, right? Like, it all makes sense. They just, I guess that dialogue didn't make it.
Apparently.
And they kind of do this where they put her, like, in the body of a child, right? Like, of herself as a child. But she's also an adult. It threw me a little bit.
Yeah, I loved how they did this. Because it's all the hair and the clothes and her body language make her a child, but she is herself. It's very, very mind-bendy and awesome. Because the way she interacts with him is like she's a little kid.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And that root just keeps coming up over and over and over again, right? Like, that was the one that Leandrin was giving.
Yeah, it's Crimson Thorn.
Thorn.
Yep.
But then it's remarkable to watch this whole scene of violence and think of her as a little kid doing what she does, like knocking her dad over. You're like, wait, how old is she that she can knock her dad over like that?
Well, I assumed that that's because she's allowed to have some minor agency within the vision to do things differently.
Yeah, it seems like she's got some skills and is able to fight back in a way that a little girl wouldn't be able to. Now, who are these people attacking, right? Just brigands, right?
It's an attack on our village by dark friends is all the context we've been given.
Okay.
I always kind of have been thinking of this as like Pavara's backstory.
And now, are we assuming that this is pretty much what happened to her parents, right?
Yes.
And she's mostly just reliving that, but now she has agency because she's...
Yeah, basically. It gives her lucid dream ability to live through the memory again and make minor changes, but also she's a kid. She can't really change anything.
Right.
Right? And that's what, when she comes out, she asks, could I have changed something? Like, that's the point of this phase of the test, is you're given the ability to think you're changing things and you have to choose to try to change the dream or to go back to reality.
Was there anything, that's brutal, watching someone die, looking down at you through the floorboards? Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that thing the father said to her.
That's the thing that Lan translated for her in season 1.
Right. I was going to say, that's the reference back to season 1, where because she didn't know what it was that whole time.
Yeah, exactly. So now we know the context. I mean, you kind of assumed that that was the context that she heard that in because of the way she told the story, but now you're seeing what that memory looked like for her.
That decision to give up and go back. She comes back with the wound on her shoulder. Leandrin just cold-ass bitch pouring that water over her head.
Cold-ass water. Yeah. And you'll notice
Exactly.
that this is a white pot, the next one is a black pot, and the third one is a black and white swirled together piece of pottery.
I did notice the black and white,
cool.
but I didn't notice the progression. Yeah. It's not the same pot that she's just rotating, right?
I don't think so, no.
And again, dialogue straight out of the book. Love it. You know, love when I get to see the book on screen. Those are my favorite parts. Always my favorite parts.
So good. And then Liana heals her between sessions.
That's the same as the books, right? You could heal between each one, or does it only after you're all done?
I don't recall.
Yeah, we don't really get the thorn bush vision where she comes back with the stigmata.
No.
We do vary, but she still comes back with blood on her hands, kind of, in that third episode, that third vision.
Yeah.
The first return.
Yeah. So first she goes through the left one, and then she turns and goes through the right one. And then the last one is the middle.
And the left one's white, right one's black, middle one's a swirl. Which makes sense.
Oh, yeah. The magic does fill in the broken gaps, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. That's so funny.
It's like it's enough of a template to figure out what belongs.
Right, because it's channelizing power, right? That's what
Right.
the Terngrial does.
It's like a bit correction whenever you're transmitting text. As long as it gets enough of it, it can figure out the rest.
I love that choice of camera shot where you wake up in bed and then you sit up. Like, classic camera angle. Love it. Love it. She's in the Two Rivers and they're undergoing an epidemic and using Crimson Thorn to murder people rather than getting proper medical help because apparently the rural-urban divide is bad in this world.
Honestly, I think that shot of his boils was just like really bad makeup. There's not very often where I'm like, the makeup was bad. That looked bad.
Yeah. It's not great.
The rest of the makeup they've nailed, but that one I was like, that looks fake to me. Looks like a rubber chest.
So Natty Cawthon is the one who's taken over in her absence. So this is very different from, but the same to the books, right? In her second vision in the books, it's someone else entirely who doesn't exist canonically. I prefer this version of actually having a character we already know taking that position of damaging wisdom.
And she's murdering people because there is really no other way to treat the sickness, not because she's trying to take power and threatening their children with murder if they don't comply.
Right, which again, I always felt like that was very unrealistic in the books, but this is realistic, that they're doing their best and their best isn't good enough because she's gone. That's way more realistic than some sort of Semirog character coming in and taking power.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the stories of nurses who like murder their patients because it makes them feel good is a real thing.
It's a real thing, yeah, but it's not realistic to what Nynaeve's arc through the world is.
True.
Abandoning her people to suffer without her is way more realistic than an angel of death, you know?
Yeah, but I like the Arches creating these like really like out there what if scenarios. Like, dude, like I can just see the Archway getting really stoned and being like, dude, what if her like there was like a bad wisdom who was like totally trying to take power, you know, like I don't know, just I like the out there stories.
I prefer this more grounded vision.
Fair enough. But you know, I think Jordan was trying to say a lot of times that there are bad people who do bad things as well, and that's partially why the Dark One wins. I think that is a point that he tried to make a lot of times in his stories, is that like normal people can be bad and bad people are normal.
Sure.
Like the Forsaken were just normal, selfish people.
Sure, yeah.
I love that line. This idea that the Yellow Aja should be out there, like, actually healing death. Meanwhile, Natty Cawthon's like, dude, we wrote to the White Tower. They know we're dying.
Yeah.
They can't send a sister. They're not bothering. Because we know that's exactly how the White Tower is running itself.
I mean, we don't ever hear of them turning down pleas for medical aid in response to epidemics. But yeah, it does seem on brand for their bureaucratic, isolationist ways. Yeah.
There's not enough Yellow Sisters to respond to any sort of sickness, except maybe the worst kind of outbreaks in the big cities.
Right.
So yeah, this is all about what she's afraid is happening in the present in the Two Rivers right now. That if she came back to the Two Rivers, this is what she would find. Yeah. Typical manager attitude. If I'm not there, this whole place is going to fall apart.
That is very much Nynaeve's attitude towards every social structure she's in.
Mm-hmm. I would never want to be her, have her be my boss.
Yeah.
She would just be a very, very micromanaging boss.
So she tries to heal Tam. It doesn't work because the power is supposed to be denied to her in this context.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what they're trying to show is like, yes, she cannot channel, right? That's not normal. Then that's normal for her not to be able to channel.
Right. She knows how to try to channel and it's not coming through. Yeah.
Oof. Make her break a promise. Promise to stay with me until I die, and then, oh, no, you have to go.
Yeah, and then she says, I promise I'm coming back, but, like, that's just a lie to help her tear herself away. It's awful.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Yeah, that pot is all black.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Can we please?
I need to talk about that line.
You can share with us as much as you want. Shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear about it. Like, what?
Your burdens are your own. Do not bother us with them. Okay, worst mental health policy in any business. Like, and yeah, you're too bad. So sad. You got a problem, you got trauma, suck it up, deal with it. Welcome to the club. We're all like that. We're all traumatized. We're all on the edge. Great. Sounds like a fantastic organization.
Yeah. To say nothing of the fact that they say a woman's fears are her own, you need share no more than you wish. She wishes to share, and you're shutting her down. Like, I thought she was allowed to share as much as she wished. Like, or up to 3 words, whichever comes first, apparently. Like, it's very, frustrating on a lot of levels.
But I imagine that's completely ad-libbed by Leandrin, right? Like, that's out of nowhere. That's not like part of the ceremony. That's just Leandrin being like, fuck you.
Oh, shit. That is Leandrin. Huh. What auditory processing issues?
And then Leanne just continues with the ceremony right over top of her, right? Like, Leanne's like, you're washed clean of your sins, yada, 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 yada. Leandrin is the one who's interrupting it to be like, shut the fuck up, I don't care.
Dream, it's all there to test you, but you can talk about it and cry into a pillow after we finish the ceremony. Like, would that be so hard? It's weird. Toxic.
Extremely.
In the books, they do say they don't know if it's real or not, in fairness.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, dude, you can't, in the real world, going there, you're not going to see in the same reality, right? That's not what's actually happening right now in your Two Rivers. That's a different Two Rivers. Even if it's real. it's still a different Two Rivers. So this whole like Nynaeve saying like, oh, we need to go right now. It's like, no, you don't.
The way she steals herself before going into the third arch is just oof.
And then we get the false wake up, right? We get this whole, I mean,
yeah,
this is fucked up, first of all.
Fucked up.
This idea that she's somehow not in control of herself, or she's somehow being like corrupted. There's like this red and blood. I imagine the Nynaeve who turns Forsaken that we see a couple of times.
Yeah, she gets misguided into being Red Aja, murders the men in her life that she loves, and becomes, Forsaken.
Well, yeah, we're seeing her in a red dress, probably Red Aja. Yeah. It seems to be she takes an axe to Lan, right, is the idea behind that vision. She has vague memories of which, okay, we've already seen Perrin kill his wife with an axe. Do we have to still see Nynaeve kill Lan with an axe? Is that just like something they want to do? Is have all? Are we going to see Rand kill Elaine with an axe next? Because there was that vision, right? A hot poker and an axe. What's that statue in the background?
Woman holding something over her head.
Yeah, curious what she would be holding above her head. Some sort of burden.
Probably water to pour over an initiate.
That makes sense. And I love that this is all still right. This is all still part of the arch. This is the fake out, wake up.
I agree, Ken. It's an awful test, and I would totally nope out after that. Couldn't blame anyone for being like, nah, fuck you.
If this was part of any job interview, I'd be like, nope, thank you, I'm out. I'll go with the next company.
They were also really fooling me with this because this does mirror how she almost walks out of her shawl.
They had me for a little bit, but then the next few scenes are a little too fast to be real.
Yeah, I was so confused.
They get her out of the tower in a really, really like, oh yeah, this is happening. Bye, bye, say goodbye, bye. Okay, she's out. And you're like, wait, what? That doesn't feel... But, you know, the show has some pacing issues, so I wasn't that worried about it. I wasn't that like, oh my God, it's still a vision. But at the same time, I'm going like, wait, she didn't come out right away. So in the back of my mind, I was thinking there might be a fake out. So I was definitely debating this whole time. I was like, is she still is this still a vision? Is it not? I don't know yet. That would be really nice to say if she'd actually said it to Egwene.
Yeah.
These scenes are hard to like take seriously because it's like, oh yeah, I know that's not the real Egwene. Mm-hmm. So the emotional impact kind of gets reduced a little bit.
Yeah. This is very like her third test. The offering of Lan and everything she's ever wanted with him. Yes. And the babies and the kids, yeah. And I feel like they put Lan's story at a place, like, I think that's part of why he's on the outs with Moraine in the first 2 episodes, is so that they could do this. And make it somewhat realistic. Yeah, and fake you out. Like, I was still not sure what the fuck was happening at this point, because I knew he was a loose end.
Yeah. The show does a lot of fake outs, and I think it relies on them a little heavier than I would have liked.
I think that's all of TV.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's one of the things they're doing to punch it up for TV is like...
Exactly.
Yeah. Fake out deaths, fake out relationships. And again, super romantic, but all fantasy.
And then, okay, so I have a question. This is the weird part to me in this vision. It comes and goes like that. It's so fast, the way that the arch just flashes in and out. She barely has a chance to notice it before it's gone. Why?
My best guess is that she has made her decision, and the arch senses that like you have to have enough doubt in your mind that the arch can even appear. I don't know. Or maybe that makes it more realistic that it comes back later because it didn't fully appear. So maybe she didn't really, maybe they're trying to do a lot of uncertainty stuff, right? Maybe it didn't appear fully, and that's why she's able to bring it back.
I thought maybe it was because Sheriam was a dark friend ordered to sabotage Nynaeve's progress, and so she just like kicked out one of the supports, because she's the one who does it's her voice that says the way back will come but once. So
I like that. That
was my theory to make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense to me.
Right. So maybe it came once real fast. Maybe she was like, it's there. Okay, that's it. Cool. Bye. Oh, you missed it. Sorry. So sorry. My bad. But yeah, I don't like the fact that it's like gone by the time she looks. Like, it's all a dream, like Teleron Riyadh. And she was not there.
The way back will come but once, unless you're naive. See, look at the pot. The pot's a swirl of black and white.
I like that pot a lot. That look at Leandrin.
God, she's got the coolest earrings.
Those were really cool. I was noticing that, yeah. In a lot of ways, this is Leandrin's second kill, right? From Apprentices. Oh, do you have a conscience? Do you really?
The way that she threw the pot was interesting. Like, I was not sure if she was playing the situation or not, and then she threw the pot in the room by herself. I'm like, oh, okay, she is upset. Leandrin does actually feel things, even if I don't always know what. She does have feelings. Okay, so now we're joining the episode proper. We're out of the cold open, and we are at Atuan's Mill, where the Shan are being the worst to the locals.
I had a lot of trouble watching this scene again, I'll admit.
Didn't enjoy it at all.
And I get why they're doing it. They're making Uno a hero of the Horn. And you gotta kill him to make him come back for the horn. But, Oh, I do love the finger communication from the High Lady.
Yeah, I enjoy that. Honestly, I thought the Uno thing made a lot of sense narratively. Not the hero of the horn thing, but killing him, I thought made a lot of sense narratively. Yeah, but this whole, like, creepy-ass sequence where the women are being taken away because they're getting selected out, like, by the creepy Damani. Like, very long, drawn-out, horrifying scene.
So I'm a little confused as to, can all Damani sense women who can channel, or is it just this one?
Okay, you squat on stolen land. That's a fucking choice of words. That is a choice of words. I love that they used that language. I thought that was great. The Damani thing, the best I've gathered from the conversations I've lurked on in Discord servers is that book canon and show canon must be different about the way that particular talent manifests, because in book canon they all can, but it seems like in show canon it's a talent, capital T.
They're like, Logain has it.
Yeah, but we don't have any good show exposition to tell us that for sure. It's just sort of what we're inferring because it doesn't make sense any other way.
Not to comment so much on the Israel-Palestine thing, but just that you're on land that was ours and will be again idea, that just like, how long does someone have to be on a land before it's theirs, and really kicking them off creates refugees. And then you just end up in a cycle back and forth where you have two people both claiming the same piece of land and unable to coexist on top of it.
Settler colonialism is a brutal and genocidal affair. I mean, we are both squatting on stolen land in a continent that should be known as Turtle Island. Like, that's our lived reality. Like, and then what's happening in Palestine, again, Israel is just doing settler colonialism. The Shan are the ultimate in like expressing that. It's like if people here suddenly just show up with superior firepower and just start taking over in the name of their god or whatever. Like, the Shan are doing a settler colonialism in brutally accurate one-to-one parallel to the real world.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm like, yes, that's that. Don't have much else to add to that. That's entirely accurate.
I mean, you brought it up.
That creepy smile. It's very Mockingbird. What was that? Katniss Everdeen, when they're like up there selecting women for sacrifice, and it's like the smiling.
Oh, Effie Trinket. Ladies first.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm getting that kind of vibe.
Massima and Uno being like, we can do something. No, we can't. Yes, we can. No, we can't. I'm headcanoning that this Death Watch guard or this soldier is Aegeanan.
The one talking?
No. That's Alwyn. The one that picks out Uno. I'm headcanoning that is Aegeanan. This interaction is very brilliant, I think.
Oh, okay. That's Aegeanan right there. I love how she's just staring at him for like 10 minutes before that. She's like, dude, I've got you pegged.
Yeah, because she sees that is going to be the source of any resistance. And if you kill that one man, that's the only death you need to exercise. That's the only one. Everyone else will fall behind. No one is as brave as this one man.
No, that's why I would have loved to see her like given more lines or a personality or show up any other time in the season? Because I thought that was a brilliant, like, the way she, like, called him out.
I'd love for that to...
Just walked right up to him and was
smart.
like, you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she must be...
Yeah, I'd love for that to be a Ghianan.
Yeah. She must be somebody.
I don't know.
That's really cool. I like that headcanon.
And then he does this knowing full well what it means. He's going to martyr himself so that way they all have something to hold on to and he gets to, die with a clean conscience. Mm-hmm. Because that's who he is.
In a lot of ways, his method of death shoves his words back down his own throat, right? This, like, it's about speaking the words, and so instead they kill him by putting a spike down his throat.
And narratively, this makes so much sense because it fragments Perrin's group. Really opens up a leadership void that Massima is going to be eyeing. Also, I love how Suroth looks satisfied. Her pouty little self-satisfied sigh. Like, yes, I love that I just have death on my thing. I love her. I love hate her.
Congratulations. And C.A. Loyal getting angry. I thought that was a great shot of him getting a little angry. And this whole thing is just a great way to see how the Shan Chan rule, right? What are they doing? How are they taking over? It shows them how brutal they are.
It also, you'll notice that Uno is bowing to them.
Yes.
Because of the way that they killed him. They're like, you can bow with or without a spike through your face, but that's it. You're bowing. I freaking love Alwyn's freaky ass face mask. I hate the way it makes her look. It's so alien. It's so just creepy.
But I kind of like Suroth's more.
Creepier than Suroth's, in my opinion.
Well, and I like the way it completely hides the face, right? It's very much like she is just an inhuman thing.
Sure.
As opposed to an alien thing.
It's sexier. All right, Rand and Logain.
Again, someone I would have loved to have seen more development with, right? He asks one question and gets one answer, and that's the last time he visits him. I don't like that.
He sees him twice. They have 2 conversations.
Okay, yeah, no. I like that you can't hide what you really are is both a reference to him being Aiel and a reference to him being a channeler. Because Logain's like, no, I know you're a channeler.
Yeah, double speak.
Don't try and hide from me. Lucky you, like Rand didn't beat him up.
Yeah, Logain knows what's up.
Because Logain remembers seeing him, right? And he knows he's a channeler.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much to put the rest of it together. And I love this reference to the books as well, that he sees Rand and he knows he's going to shake the world.
Yeah.
Different talent, sees him as a channeler, not as a Terveran. Yeah.
But aside from that, straight from the books.
That flashback to Rand and his curly hair does make him look a lot younger.
Yeah.
In season 1.
Yeah.
And I love Logain being like, we're not playing this game. I know who you are. Ask.
God. I love his performance. It's so good.
And then it's just like, I've got all day to wait. I'm just going to take another bite and stare off into the distance till you make your decision.
They're both wearing blue, you'll note.
He knows you won't like the answer. That's why he's laughing. He's like, yep, you can't control it. But I'm going to get some wine out of him before...
Yeah, but then he wastes most of the wine, so it's like he wants the wine just to prove the point.
Well, I think the point is that he's crazy. That even something he wants, he wastes because he can't control himself.
I think there's also an element of like, this is something I want, but I could have it, but I can't have the real thing I want. I don't know. It's complicated, but it's fun to send the kid on a fetch quest before giving him his shitty answer.
They're gonna make a video game out of this later, so Logain will have to send you off on your quests to fetch wine.
Yeah, to learn the interface.
All right.
Yeah. So now we're switching out to the Foregate, and we're seeing a proper gleeman, not a bard, but an actual gleeman hawking the Great Hunt of the Horn, the recruitment song for that.
With a real gleeman's cloak, with the patches sewn on and everything. So, yay, they fixed that, because the patches on the inside was a problem for Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awful. Apparently...
Yeah, people just getting branded. Ugh.
That's how you become a hero of the Horn, I think, is you get branded as a hero of the Horn. You get that brand. So I hope Fael has that later.
Oh, is that what that is? I thought it was some sort of weird, like, selling yourself into slavery debt peonage on the side, and I couldn't understand the connection with the story. It's a brand to signify your commitment to the mission. That makes so much more sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because we just know the hunt for the horn was called here in Ilion. We get that whole backstory about how it's just to get rid of the riffraff. And you see a line of people lining up, and they're getting branded.
Yeah, to be a hunter for the horn, not a hero for the horn. Yes.
Sorry, yes. And the brand is a horn. I don't know if you noticed that. That was a swirl with a horn on the end of it.
I thought it was a stylized eye, but now that you're saying that this is the brand of a hunter, I'm seeing it as a stylized version of the horn. That totally makes sense.
Which, again, looks nothing like the actual horn that we end up with. It's very much a traditional curled horn that we think of.
That's an allegory. It's fine.
And then we get Lanfear.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Celine.
Celine, sorry. She stands out. Everyone else is in drab grays. She's in bright blue. Mm-hmm. Very clean. Very modern clothes. It's thin clothes.
Yeah, the tightly fitting like sleeves under the loose blousey thing.
Or everyone else is wearing like thick cotton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's wearing not weather appropriate clothes.
No. Like the cold doesn't affect her or something. Oh, we get the story about the hunt for the horn, which Rand has never heard before. What?
I mean, in the books, they did have a pretty vague understanding, and Tom had to bring them up to speed. So I guess that's fine, but like, it was weird in the books too.
And I guess they didn't actually travel with Tom.
I mean, they did, but not in a good way.
Because later on, everybody's heard it. Love all those bottles. The business practice, go low. I wonder about that bartender. You think he's just like a sucker who got pulled in?
Yeah.
I mean, she spent a lot of time to set up her backstory.
Yeah, she set everything up, and so she takes Rand off to go get this bottle of wine, which is then the excuse for him to have the whole lordly encounter with the nobility of Kyrian.
Which is different than him just showing up in a fancy jacket that Moraine gave to him.
Right, this is slightly more believable.
Right, because that's what ended up happening. Is he was just staying in an inn with a fancy jacket on, and they mistook him for a lord.
Yeah, didn't
and with loyal and with a manservant. There's no Huron. I miss Huron. And then I love this sort of bonding friendship between them.
Okay, that fucking line. Egwene and Elaine are obviously getting along great and having a great friendship. But when Elaine says, "I thought you were an innkeeper's daughter," implying, "I figured you'd be a lush with a high tolerance for drinking," was just like, oh my god, that's like not even how being a bartender's child works generally. Like,
maybe like assuming that she nipped more of it, right? That she had more experience stealing it because she had access to it.
Which is like
a cup of wine, get up and dance, and get just drunk enough to take off my clothes and dance
just
naked.
Because you would.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they are having a great time, and then they barge into Nynaeve's room to be given the news in like the least sensitive way, because apparently the White Tower thrives on fucking people up emotionally.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, fuck Sheriam for this reaction, right? Like,
it's so wooden.
Yeah. I think that's one thing I don't like about this Sheriam is the book Sheriam is nice and kind, which is what makes it so shocking that she's a dark friend, is she does care for the novices. Whereas this one feels very cold, and it's like, well, yeah, of course she's a dark friend. She doesn't give a shit about anybody.
Yeah. This feels very on brand for like Lelaine or Ramonda, but not for Sheriam.
Right. Elaine knowing all the lore. The archers don't work like that. Yeah, thanks, Elaine.
Don't talk about your grief.
Yeah, again, this repetition of your grief is your own, your burdens are your own. Don't bring them up with us. It feels weird.
Community is the death of Aes Sedai.
Right. Servants of all, support of none. You know, it really does feel...
Yeah.
Couldn't you serve each other a little bit, maybe? Aren't you including each other in the all that you're a servant of?
Yeah, why can't the Yellow Otches specialize in healing, like, emotional pain?
Right. Let's get some psychologists up in this bitch. That cruelly lashing out at a new friend who feels like she's replacing her old friend who just died, right? Like, where was she? She was getting drunk with Elaine while Nynaeve was dying.
Yeah. And you'll notice, too, later on in the season, Nynaeve says the same thing to Elaine. I don't even know you. Like, Elaine keeps attaching herself to these girls, even though they're like, I don't know you. Why the fuck are you here? Like, Elaine's just like, I am so desperate for friends. I'm going to make myself be part of this.
Then we bounce to Matt.
Yeah, Leandrin goes to escalate her game with Matt.
Yeah, this is the setup, right?
Is this a sex thing or a murder thing?
Great. One of the great Matt lines so far, yeah.
Well, I mean, that line is at the end, and this is him foreshadowing that. Is this a murder thing, or is this I never realized how handsome he is thing?
I think that one and That's Not How Roads Work, I think, are his two greatest lines for that character.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, she goes full claws out for this exchange with him.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is instructions from Ishamael? You think it's all manipulations from Ishamael, right? Because he is...
Yeah, I don't think Leandrin's concocting any of this. I think she's just following orders.
Because as we learn, his whole goal is to turn all of Rand's friends to the dark. Mm-hmm. And he's manipulating them all.
Yeah. So Leandrin's like, she was ill-prepared to go through the arch. That's why she died. It's like, you ill-prepared her. Like, she's just so...
And you pushed her to go through. She uses the truth here like a just whip.
Oh, my God. The way Leandrin just cuts him to shreds with the truth in this sequence is just... Aes Sedai are badass.
Yeah. It's pretty accurate about what Matt thinks about himself. Mm-hmm. Stupid boy wallowing self-pity who blames himself for his friends leaving him. Now that is the lie, right? Because it matters to her.
Yeah.
That's sort of like, we don't know she's Black Aja yet in the show, but that's one place where we're like, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. The ring that would have been hers if she'd passed.
Immediately returned to the flame.
Do you think they have to make her another one when she comes back?
Apparently.
I remember there was a ton of speculation about whose ring that was that she was tossing.
Yeah. So now Egwene comes out to confront her because, she's the mentor pushing Nynaeve into deadly situations.
Right. And again, this is another place where, like, Leandrin uses the truth. She didn't want her dead. She wanted her alive, powerful, and black. Mm-hmm. Guardrails, people. You need guardrails. I
know. Why are there not guardrails?
One misstep and you're plummeting to your death. Also, it's going to make the Shan Chen attack much easier if they can just land in these archways and unload. They won't have to, like, tear holes in the walls or anything. Mm-hmm. Break in through the window.
And this is where we get that line about the ones who survive writing history. Mm-hmm. I also love how she's like, you have to know your place in order to survive. And we know that is the one thing Egwene... She does not accept her place according to anyone else. She knows her place and it is on top.
Right. I was going to say, she knows her place. It's the Emerald Seat. That's exactly where she belongs.
Yeah. All right, and now Cairhien, the court of Cairhien. We get to see it, and it looks like Versailles, as it should.
Yep.
This is some Sun King Louis XIV shit right here, and I'm here for it.
Everyone in vests and fancy French clothes, and
Rand is in red and gold.
Yep. Yeah, interesting that Lanfear gives him that jacket first instead of Moraine in this.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, she's like, oh, look, I just happened to get an invitation to go talk to this one family. How convenient.
Compulsion.
All right. And then she's like, oh, yeah, now I'm going to go get you your wine. And I love her dress. It looks so pretty.
Does she ever mention how she got invitations to this party?
Nope. Rand is like, this is weird. And she's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Oh, my God. And then we get, why can't I ever remember her name? Lindsay Duncan. This actress, she's so amazing. God. And then Rand starts burning invitations. Yes.
That is definitely a keystone moment, right? That's got to happen, that he burns those invitations.
Mm-hmm. Now you really have the houses talking.
Uh-huh.
And she, of course, isn't even engaging with the invitations. She knows who he is because she's freaking Moraine's sister. She knows everything.
Does she know who he is? I'm not sure she does.
Well, I suppose you're right. She probably knows that he works at the asylum because she knows that Moraine stashed Logain there. Mm-hmm. So she probably knows him in the sense that she knows everyone who works there. Okay, this world building is interesting about the post-Aiel War Cairhien.
I mean, it's, at least in the books, the Cairhien is barren between the city and the Aiel Waste. Like, nobody will farm there. And that's part of the reason why Rand has to ship in food, because everyone's given up on their farms. So there is a huge flood of refugees.
That's not why he has to ship in food. This is talking about a 20-year-long problem. She's describing what's happened over the last 20 years and the population redistribution. When Rand brings in food, that's because the Shido have come through and fucked everything up. That's a different thing. What she's describing is a generation process.
I was sure the Cairhiens were food importers, though, even before the Shido came in.
Sure, but the reason that Rand has to bring them food is not because of the Aiel War. It's because of the Shido invasion.
Okay.
And what Anver is describing here is the Foregate population being exploded, which is the result of the Aiel War 20 years ago.
You're right. I am thinking about how people abandon that space after the Shido come over the fall, right? Because there's a moment where they talk about the farmers abandoning the space between...
Yeah, and that's because of the Aiel War. Everyone retreated to the Foregate for the duration of the war and then was afraid to go out and repopulate their farms because what if the Aiel come back over the Dragon Wall?
Right.
Oh, Holger's correcting me. It was not the Shido, it was the Barthanes being killed war that made the famine. But still, not the Aiel War.
Got it. Oh, very clever. Lanfear, just, you don't know who I am, and I'm walking away.
and I know who you are. She walks up and says, I know who you are, and I will not introduce myself, which is very Carrion for fuck yourself.
Rand getting his visions shattered, his innocence shattered.
You poor naive child. The way she laughs. It's like, you're 20 years old, sir. You should know better.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lanfear does not like being left behind.
Ugh, that line, you're going to miss the fireworks. The fireworks don't play a role in the Carrion plot at all, but they threw them into the set just for fun.
And also just like the fireworks of her just destroying the shit out of things, right? Like,
well, there's that too. That's later, though.
That's later, yeah.
Yeah, so Logain is impressed that Rand got the wine in one day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed that Rand can get into the asylum at night. You'd think there'd be better security.
Well, he's got the keys.
I didn't think he'd have all the keys.
He's like, I left my wallet behind, you know?
Sure.
And then Rand asks this question, and Logain gives him the answer he doesn't want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, he uses the wine to demonstrate.
I don't think he wants to, though. I think he, like, wants to drink that, and he's just a little insane.
Yeah, no. The longing and wanting and pissing are all very confused in his head.
And then him saying there is no madness when we know he's mad, right?
Yeah.
Rand being like, you're not the dragon, I am. Do you think he thinks he's the dragon at this point, Rand? Do you think he believes that?
Yeah, I think he does. I don't think he's having the same doubts as in the book. But Luther and Telamon killed everyone who had any of his blood in their veins. So...
And so, yeah, Logain wants to be let out in exchange for being a teacher.
Yeah. So that is now the extent of the Rand-Logain interactions we've had so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one lesson.
So, yeah, Matt goes and does some coward shit. And doesn't talk to Egwene when it would have made all the difference in the world if he did.
Yeah, this version of Matt kind of pisses me off. Like, just go say something.
But this is why we get... No, this is important because when he betrays Rand, it's important that we've seen him betraying a friend before, right? I think it made narratively a lot of sense to be like, this is the shitty version of Matt that he believes himself to be, that he needs to grow out of. And like the double layer of betrayal when he betrays Rand, it wouldn't be a double layer if we hadn't seen this where he already fucked up once and he's like, no, I'm not going to fuck up again. And then he's told he has to, you know? All right. So Min has been waiting for this moment because it's all set up.
And the door is wide open. That like decision paralysis where he's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to sit here and stare at the open door. And I have so little low self-confidence. I don't know what to do with my life.
He's halfway institutionalized. And he's like, please give me direction. Give me someone to follow. Give me a mission. And Min's like, okay, not only do I have ulterior motives, I would do that anyway, just because it's my personality.
Right. Also, the best way to get Matt to follow is just walk away from him.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
It's like with dogs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of dogs, we are now switching to Perrin. So do you think this is a dream? Because he's talking with Ishamael in the
he's asleep.
Wagon, and Ishamael seems very disconcerted. Yeah, because he says, I was wondering if you'd ever wake up. I'm assuming that means I was wondering if you'd ever fall asleep. And okay. So he's doing a dream space in the exact environment where Perrin is, literally.
He does that a lot, I think, in the show.
Okay, cool.
But he very well could just get into the cart, right? Like, he is part of the caravan.
Yeah. But it's more on brand for it to be a dream.
Mm-hmm. And there's definitely him being like, okay, time to escape.
Yeah. And also the You Must Be Thirsty. That's a book. The whole like drinking something in a dream. Like, and he actually does drink this. And I'm like, sir, this is definitely bad.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Please don't. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if that has implications for later.
Yeah. I mean, he's taking in Ishamael's lies, right? He worries about like the wolves and the darkness, which is garbage.
Got it. Yeah. The symbolism there. Yeah, when Ishamael basically says, by doing the thing that makes you powerful, you become a dark friend. And then people are like, well, I get forced down that path. I guess I'm becoming a dark friend, right? That's how he's getting into their heads.
Exactly.
Flashback to the burning eyes.
Yeah, and the whole like, I want to meet the monster thing is like, it goes back to the cold open of the season, you know? Maybe he's not a monster. Maybe he's just hungry. But yeah, now the wolves are attacking the caravan. I think specifically because Elias wants to bust Perrin out. I don't think there's anything else happening here.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Big wolf pack. I love that rigid, precise hand channeling.
The mind channeling is fantastic.
So intense and militarized.
Mm-hmm. This actor, Shamael, is just so good.
Oh my god. The just like malevolent homoeroticism rolling off of him is just, God, he's so good.
And then just the threatening posture, the looming. Oh, yeah.
His eternal calmness. Like, ugh. Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing.
And then in comes Elias. Badass.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that in somewhere in all of that, right around when Shamael walks out, that's when Perrin wakes up, you know, but he can't tell it was a dream because it's in the exact same environment where then Elias' waking world busts in.
Probably the pounding or whatever woke him up on the door.
Yeah. And I mean, Shamael knows what's happening IRL, so he can time everything. I like how Elias has I love Elias. I just like the way he moves and talks. And
Yeah. I like that he had blood on his mouth.
yeah, he had blood on his mouth, which was in Min's vision for Perrin in the first season. Blood on the mouth. Matt, freedom's in the air tonight with his stolen goods. I like that line.
5-finger discount.
Yeah. So then Min slips off to go meet with Leandrin to just cross-check one more time.
Be a dark friend, I guess. I don't like this.
I think she's an agent, not a dark friend, but yeah.
Yeah, she's being manipulated.
Yeah. It was mostly even his idea. Yeah. Leandrin knew how this was all going to go down.
I don't really understand that logic.
The fuck does that mean? The fuck does that
Yeah.
even mean, Leandrin? That makes no sense to me.
What is the quest? What is the quest that she's sending her on?
And how is it that Moraine is the only person who can use Min's talents against her? How is working for Leandrin going to free her from that threat that any Aes Sedai could use?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we need more Min exposition to make her make sense.
I need to figure out. Yeah, Min doesn't make sense right now to me.
We need Min's position. All right, now we got more sexy choking because Selene is playing her mind games and doing real good crazy eyes. Really good crazy eyes.
Ooh. And that shift from her grabbing his chin to them just kissing was a very abrupt cut. There was no like transition. And that's, yeah, I imagine just the very like abrupt, weird relationship he's having where it's this like scene. It's almost like he's on drugs.
Yeah, and it's because she's doing a bunch of weird emotional manipulation shit. And like, I'm not convinced that this isn't partially a dream, that she's in his dreams, fucking him in his dreams. Like, you know, like this is not a logical sequence per se, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. The cut makes me think it's the dream world, the way they're just cutting, you know, doing one thing and then in another place. And then he wakes up in different clothes, also channeling with the room on fire.
Yeah. He basically had a wet dream, but it's fire instead of cum.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the dream, he's like having all this fiery sex with her, and then he wakes up and sets the building on fire. It's like he literally ejaculates fire on the act of waking.
Yep.
And then she comes in and quote unquote saves him like it's a surprise that happened. And thus we get Rand setting the Forget on fire, albeit in a different way.
Everything's in a slightly different way, isn't it?
Yeah. But we still have him leaving the Forgate with a burning building behind him. Which
Right,
remarkably
right.
doesn't set the whole Forgate on fire. It's impressive.
Yeah, that sucker went up,
Yeah. All right, back to Egwene.
trying to open the 3 arches.
Back to Egwene in the basement, trying to reopen the arches, which I thought in the trailer that this was a training montage because of how precise she's being, but no, she's trying to drive a nuclear reactor all by herself.
I mean, I feel like she's powerful enough to be any 3 Aes Sedai altogether, but I guess it's just a hard limit that it takes 3 no matter what in the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm guessing it takes, like multi-point geometry to make it work. I love that line from Elaine. Like, people have tried to bring back friends and lovers, but like we know it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And opening the arches doesn't get you to the same place
Right.
that person was in, right? You go to your own place. That has very Hermione
Yes.
vibes. Yes.
You'll be expelled. Yeah.
Or even worse, expelled. Yeah.
I complain about not getting enough of Elaine and Egwene's relationship to them.
It's funny how quickly Elaine replaces Egwene with Aviendha in later books. Like, she has this really close relationship, and then it just switches.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they don't do that in the show, because clearly they are trying to show a strong relationship here.
Mm-hmm. But I still want Aviendha and Elaine's relationship.
I just want more of seeing the relationships build. But this is a scene that shows that. I mean, Elaine going to get blankets so they can stay together. It's like, this is what I want more of, is this kind of bonding moment with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, and now we transition to what the fuck Nynaeve's been doing this whole episode. Because we haven't seen her since the cold open.
So, she has what? That's like a 3-year-old, right? 4-year-old? 5-year-old?
Something like that. She says later she was in there for years.
Yeah. So, in a way, it's a little bit of her flicker scene, you know?
Yeah.
It's like she experienced years inside and remembers them.
I love that Perrin and Matt are still like a part of their like family, you know, like their extended family.
Definitely.
Also, Matt looking like a dapper lord.
Yep, actually dressed up.
His rise.
For the first time, he's not in a fucking bathrobe in this whole show.
The first costume change that damn character has had.
Yeah.
She's named Elnor. That's from the book.
Yep.
Yeah, and Matt comes bearing news from the White Tower, which lets us know why Egwene isn't in this scene, you know?
Right, because she's going to fight the Trollocs.
Right, because she stayed at the White Tower and is doing White Tower shit and is a proper Green Eyes Sedai and all that stuff. Lan with his hair down. So domestic.
Doing dishes.
He's so domestic. God.
Still wearing the Hidori.
Yep. Trollocs have invaded Saldaea.
Yeah, she and the other Greens. And she's right, Saldaea is not that far from the Two Rivers. It's basically like
a couple hundred miles
directly north of it. And there's nothing but wilderness in between. Well, it's like a plains. Just it's like easy to cross plains. Any idea why the Trollocs attack in this story? Like within the context of like they're attacking Saldaea, how do they get to the Two Rivers? Is that just a random attack? Like
I'm guessing that the news is traveling slower than the army.
My only other thought is they followed Matt. Something about him coming from Tarvalin, having the message. I don't know.
I just figured that it was the Trollocs are flooding down because it's the last battle and the intel is not up to time. And then she does exactly to her child what her parents did to her, which was just fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah. Good parallel. Nice catch. And she's got the axe and the vision, right?
So yeah, she has a good fight with the Trolloc. And then she turns to see Matt with missing an eye. And then she sees Perrin get taken out by an axe.
Yeah. Well, and he was using a hammer to fight. He was killing people with a hammer.
Uh-huh. And then Lan basically has his 2 shadow creatures in the dark fight, but dies instead of surviving. And then she does her Super Saiyan thing, breaking the rules of the ter'angreal.
That's what brings the door back, right?
I assume that her breaking through and managing to channel is what triggers the door to open up again. Yes. I don't think it's intended by anything else. I don't think Egwene triggered it. I think that's entirely the way back will come but once, unless you're Nynaeve. And she can channel. I mean, that's what she does in her 3rd test, right? That's how she gets the stigmata, is by deliberately channeling when she knows she shouldn't. So it makes sense that that would be what triggered the door to come back.
I just like in the book, she like was trying to bring the door back when she channeled. That's why she channeled. Well, she was channeling to burn them, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe she's still holding the source at this point, you know? And so, yeah, for the first time in years, she knows who she is and where she is. And then we see basically a repeat of the invasion of the Two Rivers. And God, this part. She picks up her kid and runs through the door. What happens to the kid? What happens?
And Nynaeve just disappears and the kid's left by herself on the other end of the door with all of her family dead and Trollocs coming.
Right? The kid just falls out of the air.
Uh-huh.
Like, that has to be what she imagines and is haunted by forever and ever, right? Ugh.
And then Nynaeve comes out, totally grieving.
The scream that she gives out is just too real.
And it really is the loss of, the way the blood is on her, it's the loss of a pregnancy, right? It's a miscarriage. She lost a child in a lot of ways.
Oh, I didn't even catch that allegory, because it's the blood from dealing with Lan, but you're right. It's an allegory for, like, she just had not her heart ripped out, but her womb, like, emotionally.
A child she raised for years was just ripped away from her, and yeah, brutal.
And the very first reaction that Egwene has is joy, and it's just such an intense dichotomy of her having lost the most important thing to her and going through the worst pain, and Egwene having the most joy she's ever had in her life, seeing her friend return from the dead. Like, just, God, it's such a good ending. It's just fabulous ending.
Honestly, one of the better episodes of season 2. I like the balance. They hit all the characters. All the characters got development. There was no Lan and Moraine bullshit that has been in the other episodes. There's a lot of quotes straight out of the books. I liked the alterations they made. You know, if there was a episode that I was like, you know, if they just did this every time, I would be way happier with the show. This was that episode.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This drew so deeply on the books while also not being afraid to make necessary changes to fit the story that they've set themselves up for. And they just fucking stuck the landing again and again and again with those different efforts that they made and really good character developments. Like, I felt like a lot of the relationships building, like, there's really very little to criticize about the episode. Like, I know I said this about the last episode, it seemed basically perfect, but this one is maybe even more perfect because of how many of the really critical book scenes they pulled through. Because, like, the first 2 episodes, it's like getting you back into the world and book stuff, and that's nice, but like the accepted tests are some of the most intense peaks of the writing. So for them to nail one of those Jordanian masterpiece sections, just really pleased about that.
Well, completely ignoring Flicker, sadly.
Yeah, they're bringing in pieces of Flicker and hoping we don't notice that they're completely abandoning actual Flicker. Yeah. That's what I think is happening, for sure, which is understandable, but a bummer.
There's definitely some things that go off the rails towards the end of the season for me, right? Like, great setup. I don't think they stuck the landing in the season in the same way that they stuck the landing in this episode.
Yeah, I feel like exactly like with season 1, episodes 7 and 8 are just a different category than the preceding 6. I'm really not sure which of the first 6 I would say is my favorite, but I know that 7 and 8, neither of them are my favorite, you know? So.
And that's unfortunate because there is such good endings in some of these books. Great battles. And like, I feel like they... In the way that they took from the books in this episode, I feel like they just didn't in the last episode.
Yeah. But, you know, we'll get there when we get there.
We will.
This episode, I really felt like we got a lot of important beats and story progression and character development and foreshadowing.
And I got to see some things on screen that I wanted to see, which is always really nice.
Yeah, we got amazing looks from Liana. It was an episode with Liana serving looks, so that was a plus. We've got plots moving forward. It's just, again, like, as I was watching the season and getting into this, I'm like, okay, we've had our exposition episodes. I'm settled into the world and the plot is moving. All right, let's go.
Yeah, we just need those middle episodes. We just need like 2 or 3 more of those like middle plot moving episodes to really, really dig into what's going on.
Yeah.
Give me 10 episodes a season, please.
Exactly.
Or 13.
Please, God. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that is, I think, all of our feelings on that episode.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, everyone who's here live. Really appreciate it. And once again, thank you to everybody out there who's supporting us on Patreon, listening live, finding me at work, you bastard.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone who listens to us and sends us feedback and hangs out in Discord, and you're all great, and we will see you, hear you, you'll hear us next week for episode 4.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So long story short, I'm not going to be able to look at live recording text.
Okay.
Just sorry, folks. I'm not going to be able to read your comments today. I really do apologize for that. Aradia, you'll have to be my eyes on that.
Okay.
Because every time I click over there, everything crashes.
Okay.
So, how you been? first of all. It's been 2 weeks. Anything exciting? We skipped Halloween. If anyone's wondering when we're recording this is the week after Halloween.
It's so weird how when we don't record for a week, the 2 weeks feels like a million years.
It does. It feels like a very, very long time.
Yeah. Like, normally it's like there's no time at all between recordings, but skip one recording and it's like a million years. So it feels like forever since we've talked. My Halloween was fun. I went and hung out. My brother throws a pretty legendary pizza party at his place on Halloween. So we went and did that on that Saturday. But I am so over socialized from the summer that I just like napped for the middle of the party. And like, so I was there for the very beginning and did a bunch of like party prep and like carved the pumpkins, but then like slept for the majority of the party and then was up for like the last shift of like closing it out and like seeing people leave and like making sure the fire was out and all of that kind of stuff, or at least down. So that was chill. That was fun. I wore my Aradiapedia outfit. I went as Aradiapedia for my Halloween outfit. So that was fun. And then I was informed after that I left my brown Aja earrings there and the dog ate one of them.
Oh, no. Well, I guess the dog is seeking knowledge of what those earrings tasted like.
I guess. And she seems to have, not had the earring hook do any damage on the way through, which is
good. What
I was really worried about. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I'm just so done with the summer and the people. And but
it is we had the time change. So it is the time of the introverts, right? The time when we can say, no, it's dark out. I don't want to go out at 5 p.m. There's always a reason to never go out in the winter because it's too dark.
Yeah.
It's just too dark.
Even without the time change, it's just the sun change is going there. It's like we're really descending towards the dark time. And yeah, I'm just like, the sun is going to bed and so am I.
I'm a farmer, damn it, at heart.
So yeah, I'm really trying hard to shift into retreat mode. Yeah. And I'm trying to teach myself more about audio engineering stuff, which involves being left alone in my office and not socializing with people over beverages. So that's what's up with me.
I've been learning more about crochet.
Cool.
I made a chicken today. I made a chicken. I'm very excited about that. I've made a couple of hats. I've made some scarves, and now I made a chicken. Very cool. It's cute. I'm very proud of it. You should throw up you should throw that photo in live recording.
Oh yeah. Seth sent me a picture. I will put it in the live recording chat because it is a very cute chicken. It's like a little chicken. It kind of reminds me of like the key fob chicken that I've got. Yeah, it's real cute.
I've also decided to start wearing a wedding ring, even though I'm not technically married yet. I'm just engaged. We just decided the whole like, why if she's wearing a ring, why wouldn't I be wearing a ring? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So I got a ring.
Nice. Very cool.
It's just a fairly narrow silver band. Very simple. I can barely tolerate rings, right? So I'm really trying with this one, and it's actually really nice and lightweight. I barely even notice it. I've been wearing it for a couple of days now, and I've been able to keep it on, which has not been true for a lot of other rings I've tried.
Yeah, you really want that to be a comfortable ring if it's going to be a daily driver.
Yeah, and it really is. So I'm very excited about it. The one thing is my hands do change sizes quite a bit throughout the day. They're always quite a bit smaller in the morning and then bigger at night, or maybe the other way around. I'm not really sure. So I am always worried about losing it because it's tight some parts of the day and loose other parts of the day. And there's not like you can't resize it to fix that, right? Like
yeah, that'd be weird. Well, you can always get them tattooed in. That's incredibly flexible. Yeah,
I've heard. I don't know anyone who's done that, but I hear it is a solution. Yeah. Do you know anyone who's
only my first tattoo. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine. Oh, right. No, actually, one of my new coworkers has a wedding ring tattoo. I noticed. I would assume. I don't think you would get a tattoo on that finger, and no other tattoos unless that was a wedding ring.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Anyway, oh God. So yeah, and one of my coworkers found the podcast. So.
Oh no.
Yeah, they were apparently a Wheel of Time fan. I mean, it's great. It's fine. I appreciate it. Just it's just weird. It's always weird when somebody finds it and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, I found the podcast." And Someone told me you're a Wheel of Time fan, and you mentioned something about podcasting, and I found that you had one. I was like, oh, okay. Good. Yes, no, I'm totally fine with that. This is everything I say on here is... I love mixing my professional and recreational life. That's exactly what I go for. Yeah. Anyway,
boy.
If you're from work and you're listening to this, yeah, I don't know. Please don't take me to HR.
Boy.
Right? It's so funny how, I've always said I'm fine with it. But, I started this podcast before I had the job that I have. And so I'm sort of going like, man, I don't know what I've said on this podcast that maybe when you go back 3, 4, 5 years, someone can take a soundbite out of context and maybe that could be damaging. You always worry about stuff like that, even though there's nothing you can really do about it. If you have a podcast and you put your voice out in public, you just try and make sure you believe the things you say and then you don't get in trouble, in my opinion.
You can believe some wrong things, though. That's always the danger.
But I don't. No, I don't.
I mean, this is true. You are the one person in the world who believes only correct things.
Yeah.
Never had a bad take.
Wrong. Yes, I have never made a mistake. Especially when it comes to Wheel of Time. No, never had a bad take. Never got my facts wrong. Never mixed up some characters.
You've definitely never revealed awkward personal details about cat allergies. That definitely never happened.
Oh, God, I did say that, didn't I? Uh-huh. All right, so this will be Wheel of Time, existential crisis time.
Yeah, but then take comfort in the fact that now, because we've podcasted so much and AI is now being a thing, like you could be made to say anything very convincingly because so much of that data exists. So like... Oh,
but that means that I don't have to take credit for any of the things I've actually said because I can just be like, oh, it's AI.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. It's an AI. They just took my voice.
Yeah.
No, I do wonder about that. Like, there's enough out there. There's definitely enough of our voices out there that someone could be like, oh, I'm going to make a Seth and Aradia podcast AI bot and see, like, what comes out the other end. Maybe feed it a different book or something.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I've never used those, like, image generator things with, like, put your face into a historical portrait style. But, like, I've made hundreds of hours of podcast. So, I'm out there. Mm-hmm. I am content.
Right? Every once in a while when someone's like, oh, content creators, and they say something, and I'm like, fuck, that does include me. Oh, man. Like, that's what we do every week is we create content.
We are part of a Wild West industry thing. We are podcasters. Technically, we're like Joe Rogan.
Don't compare me to Joe Rogan, please.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But we're also like Robert Evans, so it's okay.
Just because I'm bald with a beard, with headphones, talking into a microphone, and I like mushrooms, doesn't mean I'm Joe fucking Rogan.
And yet.
I'm not a little sensitive about this. God, do you know how many people say whenever I'm like, oh yeah, I do podcasts, like, oh, like Joe Rogan? I'm just like, oh no, not like Joe Rogan.
Oh, that sucks. No one ever says that to me because I don't know people that say that, I guess. But oof.
Yeah.
Spadoinkle is just on a fucking roll today. Like,
no, what is he? Tell me, I can't read the live text. You got to read it to me.
When I think of you, I always think Joe Rogan.
Ouch.
There is just a strong heckling component coming from the Spadoinkle corner. And I love it.
That's because you're safe. I told you I wasn't reading live text. I'll go back and read it later. You're never safe. I will go back and read it.
All right. Well,
just like we're going to go back and watch this episode.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Rate us in the Apple Podcast app or subscribe